Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Steve again, Harmless Rebel. Do a vinyl update. It seems like it's been a while since I did a good vinyl update. So let's just kind of jump in. This will mostly be, well, it's pretty much all hard rock and heavy metal, but this one's going to be pretty heavy on the hard rock. But let's start off with some really good heavy metal. This will be in my best of for 22 for sure. Really killer thrash from Texas. This is what is it? Communal Decay from Vindicator. This was done by No Life Till Metal Records. Highly recommend you grab this one while you can. Killer artwork too. They only pressed 100 of these on vinyl, and for all you thrash heads, you don't want to miss out on this one. Again, just really killer thrash. Part of the Texas thrash scene. These guys are phenomenal. I've liked everything that they've released, and stoked to finally have this one on vinyl. But I'll put a link down below. Like I said, they only pressed 100 of these, and these are going to go fast, so you don't want to miss out on that one. Next up. So this one was pretty good. This one was, I wasn't sure what to think when I saw the band name. But Brother Scott Waters told me that he thought I would definitely like it. So I went ahead and ordered this. And man, it's fantastic. The band it's called Applehead is the name of the band. It's not really a band. It's what's Meneer's? Is it Greg Meneer? Yeah, Greg Meneer. So Greg Meneer is he was the singer and I believe guitar player in the Crucified. So the Crucified started off as a hardcore punk band. On there, they had a like an 8 or 10 song 7-inch that was really killer, just straight up punk. Then their first album was really good crossover. I really dig the first. Actually, I dig everything that they released under Crucified. I need to find a copy of their second album. But then Greg went solo after that, and he released in 1990 Meneer. This is a special edition that came out a few years ago. I just got this in a couple days ago. Haven't even listened to it yet. This one is more straight up thrash. So this is the 1990 album, and then some demos from 88 and 89. So I'm really looking forward to hearing about this one. It's funny, when this came out, I didn't realize that it was the guy from the Crucified, so I didn't buy it. This came out years ago, 2016 or 17 maybe. So I didn't grab it, and then I was when this came up, we were talking about the Crucified, and he started talking about how good this was. It just doesn't read thrash to me, so I didn't grab it at the time. But so Applehead, he went a completely different direction. I believe this is the only thing that he did under Applehead, but this is just him. He plays all the instruments and sings. Kind of a similar to Soundgarden, but a little bit sludgy, kind of sludgy Soundgarden, if that makes sense. He was definitely playing to the 90s. I mean, it is kind of 90s alternative. It does have that feel to it, but you still kind of hear him in here too. Really killer album though. I've played this. I've got a copy. I bought the set. It was a CD. They had a deal for the CD and the LP, so I went ahead and grabbed that. And the CD has been in my truck for about 2 months now, and I've played it a bunch of times. It's really fantastic. Highly recommend grabbing this one as well. Again, this was only 100 pressed of this one too. Really killer though. Next up, I finally got around to grabbing this. This is Paranormal from Alice Cooper. I wasn't sure what to expect. Welcome to My Nightmare, the second Welcome to My Nightmare, Welcome to with the number 2. I didn't like it all. And honestly, when I think back, I really haven't liked most of Alice Cooper's 2000s output. it's not that it was bad. It just wasn't. I wasn't feeling. He had one or two songs on every album that I really liked. So I've got all of those albums because of those one or two songs. But like Dragon Town and like I said, all of those I just wasn't a fan of. And then Welcome to My Nightmare I didn't like at all. So when this one came out, I honestly I just wasn't interested. I didn't buy it. I saw him on tour for this too. But I don't believe he played anything off of this. I believe it was all his classics. But then is it Detroit Tales, Detroit Stories, whatever his most recent album is. I bought that and I was blown away by how good that is. If you haven't heard that, I highly recommend it. He went back to the 70s glam sound and it's just fantastic. So this one is kind of there's a little bit of that. This one's kind of a hodgepodge though. I would call this more just really killer 70s rock and roll, I guess. There's a little bit of blues rock. There's a little bit of boogie. He does a song with Billy Gibbons, and that sounds like, a 1975's ZZ Top track with Alice Cooper singing. He sounds fantastic on here. It's a great album. Each side has one or two really good songs. There's not a bad song on here, though. Fallen in Love is the one that he did with Billy Gibbons. Is fantastic. Holy Water, Rats, Genuine American Girl, I loved. The Sound of A is kind of a Pink Floyd psych feeling song. He just kind of touches on all genres here, and he just does a killer job. So definitely worth picking this one up. And like I said, man, it's driving. I can't remember if it's Detroit Tales or Detroit Stories, but his most recent album. If you like his 70s glam, which is my favorite stuff, highly recommend grabbing that one as well. Next up, so I showed this one. I had a really good metal score. I did a video for it a while back. And this Sudden Death album is one of them that I showed. I've been playing this a lot. This is fantastic. This is... it's basically new wave of British heavy metal, but a little bit late. It's probably more a mix, but this is from '87. It's kind of a perfect hybrid of Accept and Motorhead, but they were you definitely hear a little bit of Venom in there. Just a fantastic album. It's listed as a private press, but the label that it's on, I can't remember what label it is now. Maybe this one is a private press. I'm confusing it with another one. But man, fantastic album. They don't go for too much. If Accept meets Motorhead sounds good to you, I would check this one out. Maybe order a copy of it online. You won't be sorry. I've been playing this one quite a bit. Next up, probably one of my biggest disappointments of the year. You've got Dave Ellefson. Who all is? Hang on, let me see. Everybody in this was guys that I really dig. Give me a sec. Artists. Believe that's it. Nope. And then they choose a band name that there's a crap load of. There's like 30 artists with the band name either Lucid or The Lucid. But this is it's Dave Ellefson, Vinny Dombrowski on vocals. He's been in, let's see, I don't know any of these bands. Sponge is probably the only band I've heard of in here. But you've got Mike Heller on drums, who's a fantastic drummer. He's the current drummer for Raven, and he's also the current drummer for Fear Factory. And the guy is just phenomenal. You've got Dave Ellefson on bass, and then Drew Fortier on guitar from Bang Tango. He's the current guitarist for Bang Tango. I'm a big fan of Mike Heller, though. He's fantastic, but he couldn't save this album. So this was like Dave Ellefson's first big release after being kicked out of Megadeth, and kind of the way Dave Mustaine came out all guns blazing when he got kicked out of Metallica. I was kind of expecting that from Dave Ellefson, and this is just an absolute disappointment. I don't even know what to call it. Modern 2000s hard rock, maybe, and not in a good way. The drumming is it just kind of overpowers the songs. I gave it a couple spins. Sometimes I'll hear something and it's not what I'm expecting, so it doesn't hit me right. So I gave it a few days and played it again, and I liked it even less. Just a complete disappointment with this one. I was expecting thrash metal at least, but didn't get that at all. And then another disappointment is I pre-ordered from their Bandcamp a signed copy, and instead of a signed copy, I got this insert with it's just an L, and it's like a 10.5 inch. So do not recommend grabbing this one though. Pretty disappointed. Next up, now from the opposite end, really killer album. This is one actually Bandcamp again. I was just kind of flipping through Bandcamp, and you can get into these kind of like with YouTube. You can just go down these rabbit holes. And I was on this going down a new wave of British heavy metal or new wave of traditional metal rabbit hole, and ran across this band, Night Cobra. This is their 4-song EP. I'm not sure. It looks like it was self-released. But, man, this is really fantastic. I really dug this one. New wave of traditional metal, kind of on the punk side. Really dug it, though. I actually just got their newest album in the mail a couple days ago. I haven't spun it yet, though. Another one highly recommend checking out for you guys that are into new wave of traditional heavy metal. Another one, I was really happy to get this one. Man, this thing was on pre-order for probably 8 or 9 months. I really love Run Out Groove. They do a fantastic job. But man, when you order stuff from them, it takes forever. Literally, I want to say this one was pre-ordered like a year before, but they did a fantastic job on this. This is the End of Heartache from Killswitch Engage. I've liked most of the Killswitch Engage stuff, though, but this is the only one I go back to pretty regularly. I always talked about how I really liked their original singer, and I still do. But honestly, I've got all of their albums on CD, and the one here is it Howard Jones, the singer from this one? It doesn't say. But this is the one I always go back to, and it still sounds great. And man, the artwork looks so good on this. I never noticed that it was bloody hands holding a heart with nails going through it. I could never see that artwork on the CD cover. Another nice thing about LPs. They've got some other really killer stuff coming out too pretty soon. Next up, this was an upgrade. So this was the original pressing of this I had was a blind buy from maybe 10 years ago, 11 years ago. It just sounded like hard rock to me. So I went ahead and bought it for like $5. Again, this was years and years ago. And I've always wanted a nicer copy and ran across a super clean copy, but this is White Witch. If you haven't checked these guys out, they're fantastic. It's really good 70s hard prog. I really dig both their albums. I play both of them still pretty regularly. And I've turned quite a few people on to these guys too. For you guys that are into the 70s, the obscure hard rock from the 70s, the 70s hard and heavy, these guys should definitely be a band that you're looking out for. Again, they've only got 2 albums, and while this one kind of looks kind of hard rocky, the other one doesn't. The other one, it looks like it's got a picture of the band and just looks like a bunch of hippies with White Witch. You would think it was going to be a straight up psych album, but it's not. It's really good. Definitely check that out. Another Grail. I've had a reissue of this for years. I've now finally got nice original pressings of both. This one unfortunately had a little bit of water damage, but I got a good deal on it because of that. The vinyl is super clean though, so maybe I'll try to find a nicer cover. But Heart Attack from Dust, again, just killer 70s hard rock. You cannot go wrong with either of the Dust albums. I'm happy to finally have really nice original pressings of both of them. Even with the water damage though at the bottom, it's still not too bad. It's still in pretty good shape. So again, overall, pretty happy with that one. So this is another 70s hard rock band that I just got into. I just discovered. It's one of those bands I heard people talking about for years and years, and just never checked them out. And then I bought their first album, and every time I run across one of their albums now, I grab it. I think I still need 2 more, but this is Made in Japan from Flower Traveling Band. They are a Japanese hard rock band. Really, really good. Their first album is mostly covers, and maybe all covers, but they covered Black Sabbath, and they covered Black Sabbath maybe 6-8 months after the album came out. So before they had even gotten big. So these guys really had their ears to the ground when it came to the hard rock music. Fantastic though. I haven't heard a bad release from these guys yet. Next up, the 70s hard rock, the best 70s hard rock band from the 80s. Ashbury is a band I indirectly got turned on to by Greeno. So Greeno, man, when he first started doing videos, so maybe 2013, he did a video showing a Texas band called Shotgun, which is really killer hard rock from Texas. And I asked him, where he got that, and he turned me on to a website called Rockadrome, which is one of my favorite websites now. But I was flipping through Rockadrome a little while later, and I saw an advertisement for Ashbury's first album, which is from like '82. It's an amazing album. It's one of my all-time favorite albums now. Still play it all the time. They're an Arizona band, which is kind of cool, me being from Arizona. But they had this really killer 70s sound. Kind of, man, I don't even know how to describe them. There's definitely some Wishbone Ash there. There's a little bit of Scorpions. I mean, they mix everything that was great about the 70s into this perfect album. So this was their second album years later. Let's see if it says. Well, this is a 2019 press, but I think this was from like 2014 or 2015. The band got back together and put together. So yeah, here in Tucson. Oh, I'm sorry. So 2004 is when they recorded it, and 2010 is when it was released. This one is still pretty good. It's not as good as the first. However, maybe 3 years ago, they released their third album, The Stygian Witches. Fantastic. It was one of my top 10 records of the year. So highly recommend checking out any of the Ashbury albums. This one is still really good. It's just my least favorite of the 3. Atomic Rooster. That's funny. That's who I was thinking of. It's kind of a mix of Atomic Rooster and Wishbone Ash is kind of the perfect description. But speaking of Atomic Rooster, Music on Vinyl did this killer repress of their self-titled album, and I've just been spinning this quite a bit lately. They did a great job. I'd love to find a really clean original pressing, but until then, I've got this fantastic repress right there. Another upgrade, Moxie 2. Canadian hard rockers, you cannot go wrong, especially with their first 3 albums. I like everything they released. This one is 76 though, and just not a bad song on here. Really, really clean copy. I think this one's a US pressing too. Yeah, this one's actually a US pressing. Next up, another really disappointing one. I was really stoked when I saw this. This is the Beneath the Remain tour, a bootleg from the Beneath the Remain tour, Beneath the Remains tour from Sepultura. I love this era of Sepultura. This is a terrible pressing, though. Do not buy this. It literally sounds like somebody had the tape recorder in their pocket and they were recording it through their pocket. It just does not sound good. Same with the Death. I didn't bring any to show you. They just did 5 Death live shows. They all sound. One of them sounds okay. It sounds like a mediocre bootleg. The rest of them sound terrible. And they're official pressings. They didn't even try to clean them up. It doesn't sound like. And if they did, they must have been terrible. A little Obituary. So I don't know why. So Obituary's second and third albums, I bought right when they came out. Somehow I completely missed Slowly We Rot. The Incomplete is one of my all-time favorite metal albums. But for some reason, like I said, the second and third, I was there for it. Loved them. Played them nonstop for years and years. This is my first time having Slowly We Rot. Which is crazy for a band that I like as much as I do. But finally have this on vinyl, and I've been playing it quite a bit. They just did a live version of this. So looking forward to checking that one out too. Next up, Toxic Holocaust, another band that I just missed out on. The new wave of thrash bands. There were so many of them, and I got into a few of them. I was just late to the game on these guys. I saw them on this tour, and they blew me away. I didn't realize they had been together for like 20 years when I saw them in 2019. And again, they were just awesome. So I've just been grabbing their albums as I run across them. Just really killer new wave of thrash. And then last but not least, another just classic album. I think this one was 89. Oh no, this is 93. Wow. This is an album that I love and I hate. I'll listen to it one time and it just does nothing for me. And then, I'll pull it out a few months later and I can't get enough of it. But this is the Ethereal Mirror from Cathedral. I'm not a huge Cathedral fan. I think all of their albums kind of sound the same with the exception of this one. This one has some really standout tracks. It's funny. I just ran across a greatest hits where disc 1 was the greatest hits and disc 2 was all demos and stuff, and it just all sounds the same to me, whereas with this album they just hit all the points on this one. I love the artwork on this one as well, and Earache has just been doing a fantastic job with these reissues that they've been doing the last 3 or 4 years. So the only one that I haven't liked is Swan Song. I don't know what happened with that one, Swan Song from Carcass. I've gotten 3 different copies of it, and all of them are pressed horribly, full of pops. They just sound terrible. Part of it is they're trying to squeeze too much onto one. It should have been a 2-disc or 2 LP release. There's only like this much room for the matrix. I mean, they just shove so much there. You can't even differentiate the songs. They have so many grooves on there. But other than that, that's it, guys. I hope everybody's good. This one a little longer than I expected it to. Take care, and I'll see you soon, guys. Bye.